And we're back for our daily NBA best bets here on the channel for November 25th. We only got 3 games today in the association, with the Atlanta Hawks taking on the Washington Wizards, the Orlando Magic taking on the Philadelphia 76ers, and Battle of LA. Let's see if Kawhi's the king again of LA. I'm kidding. Lakers Clippers close out the night. This is NBA Cup games today, which I thought they're only on Fridays. Sure, I guess. So 3 NBA Cup games. Why there's only 3 today? Because it's a Tuesday. I just don't understand. I thought it was only Fridays, but I guess certain Tuesdays we're doing it now too. Fine by me. The Lakers get a chance to go 3-0 in Group B, and I believe clinch the Group B championship with a win today, if I'm not mistaken. That's how that works. So we have some potential play-in playoffs clinching scenarios. Regardless, folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more NBA best bets here on the channel. There will be timestamps in the description down below since I'm not in the normal setup today. We'll be back tomorrow in the normal setup, but since we're not in the setup today, I'll have timestamps in the description down below for each bet. Yesterday, we were great on college basketball yesterday. I'll say that. You know, sometimes the association is very difficult, and yesterday was one of those days. Okay? That's all I can say about that matter. I witnessed the New Orleans Pelicans score 143 points yesterday. So, you know, I got nothing else to say. I still hate the Bucks. No other way to put it. Still hate the Bucks. Yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. It sucked. Anyways, let's make the most out of the 3 games that we have. We're going to do moneyline / spreads for all 3 games, and then player props for the 2 primetime games, not the Hawks Wizards. With that being said, let's start with Hawks and Wizards. I'm taking Atlanta minus 10.5. Guys, at this point, it's like, you know, it's just don't be that team with the Washington Wizards. The worst team in the National Basketball Association, I think by far. I mean, there are a long list of bad teams in the NBA, but the Wizards are the only team with 1 win. And for as bad as the Pacers are playing this season, they are 2-15. The Brooklyn Nets are 3-14. The Charlotte Hornets are 4-13. The New Orleans Pelicans finally picked up a win. They are 3-15. The Kings are kind of getting out of hell right now. They've won 2 games in back-to-back. So what? Not back-to-back nights, but back-to-back games. How? I don't know. Was it back-to-back nights? Regardless, the Kings have won 2 games in a row. Who saw that one coming? Anyways, it wasn't on back-to-back nights. But regardless, by far the worst team in the association is the Washington Wizards. They won 1 game earlier in the season where they went out and beat the Dallas Mavericks, and they haven't won since. They lost their first game to the Bucks, won their second game against Dallas, and they are still yet to win another one. This is atrocious basketball being played, and, you know, we've gone over this before at the Wizards. It's a problem with how they play. It's a lineup construction thing. Like is it crazy to say the Wizards have the worst future in the league? Because you can say, oh, they have draft capital. Sure, the NBA is never going to, you know, they're never going to have the Wizards win the lottery. They're just not a team the league particularly likes. They play in the Eastern Conference. It's not, you know, they're not. If you're a bottom tier Western Conference team, there's a chance you luck into the lottery. But the Wizards aren't lucking into anything. No one really wants to play in DC. It's never, oddly enough, DC's never been a huge market. In terms of, you know, in the United States perspective, it's a big market. But for sports, I mean, you know, the Caps and the, you know, obviously the Nats have had success at times, and I guess the Redskins back in the day, and I guess the Wizards have had their varied success with John Wall and Bradley Beal and a long time ago with the Bullets, but it's not a big market where you're going to get, you know, big-time free agents, and they don't draft particularly well. And what the Wizards do, I'll compare them to the Brooklyn Nets and the Charlotte Hornets, they don't just load up their team with a bunch of young players and just throw, you know, 8 out of their 10 rotational spots are young guys. We'll stack 2 veterans, and we're just going to figure out who's going to play or not. It's not really what Washington is doing right now. Not a big issue, but Corey Kispert has been a very good player for this team coming off the bench over the last 4 seasons. They completely cut Kispert's minutes in half to the point where he barely even plays anymore. It's kind of odd. His stats are still relatively the same, at least percentage-wise, and they let him play 37 minutes against the Bulls where he scored 20 points. But that's the thing, guys. The Wizards don't want to win. So that's partially the reason why they, you know, for the most part, have played Kispert 11 minutes a night, because they're not trying to be in a position where they're going to win basketball games. They are somewhat young. I will say, again, Alex Sarr thinks he's going to be a very good basketball player, but it's crazy to say, does Alex Sarr even fit their timeline? He's 20, but is the timeline even with Alex Sarr? And this is an issue I have, obviously, not completely relating this to the Washington Nationals and the MLB, but kind of with the Nationals, right? You have a player in James Wood who's so young, and he's, I don't think Alex Starr is nowhere near as good as James Wood is in each of their respective leagues, obviously. But what are you going to do with the guy if you can't, again, put any pieces around him? And in Alex Starr's case, I mean, okay, Keyshawn George has been good this season, but CJ McCollum's your second leading scorer. You still play Chris Middleton every night and start Chris Middleton. What are we doing? I mean, I assume again at the deadline, if I'm the Wizards, I'm unloading on McCollum, I'm unloading on Middleton, and I'm getting rid of Kispert as well. If you're obviously not playing Kispert, there is some team, I'm not saying this just because I'm a Lakers guy, the Lakers should try to trade for Corey Kispert. Bench shooting would be absolutely perfect. And the Wizards would do it for a second round pick. If I'm the Lakers, I'm calling for Kispert, and I assume a bunch of teams are going to call for Kispert. But it's not a team that, again, I mean, Bilal Coulibaly's all right. It's the Wizards, man. They're playing just such horrible basketball all year long. They get Atlanta tonight. The Hawks are 11-7. This is a team that, is a premier team in the East. If I had to pick a winner right now in the Eastern Conference, it might be the Atlanta Hawks, legitimately. With Trey coming back, if they can add on even more at the deadline, I might pick Atlanta to win the East. Might be a hot take. I know Detroit keeps on winning. Toronto looked good. They beat Cleveland yesterday. The Cavs are obviously involved. I think I'd take Atlanta right now to win the Eastern Conference. I think the Hawks are going to go to the NBA Finals, and they'll get swept by Indiana, obviously by OKC. It's just be another, obviously another championship on Shea's resume. It's like, we're going to think back in 30 years. Oh, remember when Trae Young faced off against, when Trae Young faced off against Shea in the finals? It's just going to be one of those filler NBA finals, legitimately. Regardless, though, the Hawks should absolutely dominate Washington here. I don't think the game's going to be close. I know the Wizards play a competitive game just recently against the Chicago Bulls. I got nothing to say about the Bulls after their performance yesterday. I'm still high on the team. Am I as high on them now, though? Unfortunately, I'm not. But yeah, I'm going to take the Hawks here as they are en route to their 2002 Brooklyn Nets type run where the Nets made their way into the finals to Jason Kidd and they got swept. In all fairness, I think like 3 of those Lakers-Nets games were close, but the Lakers just won every single one of them. But that's legitimately like the track the Hawks are on this year. They're going to go to the finals just to run into Shea and the Thunder, and they'll get swept. Give me Atlanta Hawks spread minus 10.5. For the future Eastern Conference champions in 2025. I'm going to start going with that. Legitimately, man, they're playing well with all these injuries. Jalen Johnson's taking the next step. Rissa Shea is pretty good. Dyson Daniels, and then Trey and Porzingis. I like the Hawks quite a bit. Are they a championship team? No, but for as weak as the East is, maybe they're a contender. They won't win, but that's the Eastern Conference. On now to the Eastern Conference again. NBA Cup action once more. The Orlando Magic take on the Philadelphia 76ers. Our first best bet from this game, obviously we have 2, is Joel Embiid over points and rebounds. The line is 23.5. So Joel Embiid today is expected to make his return. And yes, this is like return number 50 for Joel Embiid. The Sixers are, by the way, 0-2 in the NBA Cup. I don't think they really care about it. I think they care about their win-loss record a little bit more. But regardless, Embiid is supposed to make his return yet again tonight. Embiid has been out since early November. With an injury, obviously, with a knee injury, what's new, and it seems like Embiid's going to play. He has been listed as questionable. The books have lines for Joel Embiid, so it is expected that Embiid should return tonight. And the way I'm looking at it right now, these lines are really low for Joel Embiid. I get it. He's going to probably only play 20 minutes, is what Embiid did at the beginning of the season when he first came in to start the year. And, Philly was very cautious about the minutes that they were playing Joel Embiid. He started the first 2 games against Boston and Charlotte. Embiid played exactly 20 minutes, and then they slowly ramped him up to 26 minutes a game. I think we're getting exactly 20. But if we want to look at what he's done earlier in the season on exactly 20 minutes, one game against Boston, that was opening night, did not play well. Whatever, I'm going to choose to not talk about that game. What he did in his second 20-minute game against the Charlotte Hornets, 20 points and 4 assists and 2 boards. Okay, I know, again, that goes under this line, but what's important about that line for Embiid only playing 20 minutes is the 20 points. If he can still score 20 points in 20 minutes, albeit that is against the Hornets, and I get it, Charlotte's not the greatest, but if he can go out there and just give us 20 points in 20 minutes, the rebounds will follow, okay? Again, rebounds are hard to bet on, I understand, because it's random, obviously. You don't know where the ball is going, legitimately, you don't know where the ball is going to bounce. But asking Embiid to get 4 rebounds in 20 minutes should be fine. And I think he'll find a way to score. I think the boards are going to be up, obviously. I'm taking that one small sample size from that Charlotte game where, he only had 4 rebounds. But I mean, look at the games recently for Embiid. Embiid's been averaging about 6 boards a game. So if we can get, let's say, 4 boards. I mean, again, he's averaging 6 boards a game in 25 minutes. So let's say he'll get 5 rebounds. Okay, we need 19 points out of Joel Embiid. It's not that far-fetched for a guy who in 25 minutes has been scoring 30 points. So Philly is slowly getting a lot of guys back. Obviously, we've spoken at length about Jared McCain and his, recovery and him, kind of struggling out the gates. PG's supposed to play tonight. Paul George is probable. No VJ Edgecombe tonight for the Sixers, which is obviously a massive blow, but they are expected to probably get Embiid back. Tyrese Maxey is on the injury report, but he is probable with the shoulder injury, so it looks like Philly is going to get their guys tonight. And again, Embiid, the official tag right now, is questionable for Joel Embiid, but I think he's going to play. In terms of the matchup they get against Orlando, I'm not really concerned. The Magic, obviously, we've talked about this quite a bit. They prided themselves last year in the last couple of seasons in both their playoff runs on being the best defensive team in basketball. They're not that, or one of the best defensive teams in basketball. Obviously, I believe they're the best defensive rating in the league. Last season, I believe, was still the OKC Thunder. But they're not really that anymore, is Orlando. They get into these, again, high-scoring shootouts. And if you want to look at defensive rating, they're not even in the top 10 anymore in defensive rating in the NBA. Again, it is a completely different Orlando team. I mean, they're middle of the pack. They're exactly 15th in defensive rating this season. They have a lower defensive rating than the Atlanta Hawks, which obviously the Hawks' defensive rating is kind of carried by Dyson Daniels. But regardless, the Phoenix Suns have a better defensive rating, a higher defensive rating than the Orlando Magic. The Lakers have a higher defensive rating than the Magic, and the Lakers trot out Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic every single night, and Rui Hachimura. It's not what the Lakers are really built upon, is their defensive work. Again, it's not the same Magic team. The matchup will be Wendell Carter Jr. for Joel Embiid. Not really that concerned. We'll get into the X's and O's and the matchups in a second, obviously, because we're going to pick a winner. But no Paolo Banchero. Banchero's still out. Sure, no Edgecombe for the Sixers, but Philly gets all their guys, and I think it's going to be a real easy matchup for Joel Embiid tonight. So again, throughout the season, Embiid's averaging 20 points and 5 rebounds a game. Again, though, and Embiid's only played 7 games this season, 6 games this season, and that includes a 4-point and 6-board performance on opening night in Boston. So obviously his averages are weighed down heavily, and obviously with the low minutes. But I believe Embiid's going to get 20 minutes, maybe a little bit more, but I think he's going to hit that 20-minute benchmark, and I think in those 20 minutes, Joel Embiid can still find a way to go over 23.5 points and rebound. I'd still find an extremely low line. I mean, it's still Joel Embiid. Again, the injury problems have been well detailed, and it's a struggle, obviously, for the 76ers, but I believe Embiid's going to find a way to go over this line. Give me over 23.5 points and rebounds for Embiid here at home against the Magic. Now on to our next best bet for this exact game, Philadelphia and Orlando. I'm taking 76ers money line. It's been good enough for us over the past, couple games. I'm going to take it again. Give me Philadelphia to win the game outright. They did not do this on Saturday night against the Miami Heat. I understand they ended up losing by 10 to Miami, but it's kind of hard to pick against this squad. I get it, they've traded wins and losses, but here we go. If, history and trends are proving us anything here, they are expected, or they are on, they're expected to win this one ultimately, right? Trading losses and wins for the last 8 games. This would be the game that they win. Now, the way Tyrese Maxey's been playing right now is absurd. Obviously, dropped to 54 points in his career high against the Milwaukee Bucks on the road on Thursday. Maxey has been one of the best players in the league this year. Obviously, he's top 4 right now in the MVP race, top 5 in the MVP race. Maxey's been incredible, averaging 33 points per game. That is second currently in the association, only behind Luka Doncic. He's averaging more points per game than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. In all fairness, SGA doesn't play fourth quarters. But anyways, this is a good offensive Philly team. They score. They score points. And how about Paul George? I guess Paul George does not want to continue to be included in the washed conversations and in those washed compilations with Chris Paul, with Kevin Love on the Jazz, obviously Shaq on the Celtics, KG on the Nets. Paul George is trying to play his way out of these narratives. Now, again, is Paul George worth the money? And obviously that's a whole other thing. We're talking obviously about this one specific game between Orlando and Philadelphia. The Sixers' future is absolutely fried. We're not going to, pretend like we're not thinking about that with their contract situation with both PG and Embiid. But Paul George is playing all right. Again, is he worth all the money? Definitely not. But Paul George put up 21 points in the overtime victory over the Milwaukee Bucks. Sure, did not have a great night against the Miami Heat at home, but no one really played particularly well for Philadelphia on Sunday night, again against the Heat. And we talk about Jared McCain, a guy who is slowly finding it again, I think. And I think if you can take anything away from Philadelphia's L to Miami, encouraging-wise, is that Jared McCain scored 15 points, which does not sound that crazy for a guy that averaged, 17, 16 points per game last season, at least when he started. That's a season high this year for Jared McCain. He's shooting the ball better and he's shooting it with confidence. We talked about after he came back from injury, McCain wasn't pulling the trigger. He wasn't shooting at all. He looked like a shell of his former self coming off the multiple injuries he had suffered. Obviously, the season-ending injury last year, the setback to start the season this year. If Jared McCain can be a, legitimately a 12 points per game guy off the bench for Philadelphia, it's going to benefit them so much. Again, this is a starting player in the association, but a guy that got squeezed out of the starting lineup this year for Philadelphia because, of course, the returning vets coming back from injury, as well as the rookie out of Baylor and VJ Edgecombe. I don't think McCain starts tonight, obviously. That will be Quentin Grimes, who's obviously very capable of scoring off the bench. And when you really put all the pieces together for Philadelphia, I think it'll be Grimes and Justin Edwards, by the way, but when you really put all the pieces together for Philadelphia, there's no reason that this team shouldn't go to at least the Eastern Conference Finals this year. I know Embiid and the Eastern Conference Finals don't play out well with each other, but legitimately, look at the rotation that they're kind of setting up right now. I mean, they go 9-man rotation in the playoffs. You go Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Kelly Oubre, Paul George, Joel Embiid, Jared McCain, Quentin Grimes, Justin Edwards, and you probably, Dominic Barlow probably get squeezed out, Andre Drummond. That's not, you have Trent Watford too. I'm not saying Watford is going to make the playoff rotation, but I mean, he has his nights, scored 19 against Miami. There's no reason this team shouldn't go somewhat far in the playoffs this year, especially with the next step Maxey has taken. So that's why I'm taking them to beat Orlando. They're a better team than the Magic, especially the Magic without Paolo Banchero. Orlando goes out and gets, obviously, Desmond Bane in the offseason. They pay a hefty price to get and land Desmond Bane. I don't think it's been worth it. Desmond Bane, obviously, has needed to take a step up with Banchero's injury. I guess he's kind of done that. Again, I guess. This team on Sunday went to Boston and lost. Jet Howard, second-year man out of Michigan, scores 30 points randomly. Franz Wagner's been good, but I don't like Orlando. They are not the same team that they've been the last couple of seasons. You sold out for Desmond Bane. You paid a lot for Bane. He's getting paid a lot of money. And I just don't think it's worked so far. I don't know. I don't think it has. And I get it. They wanted to make that jump. They wanted to contend this year. They were the big offseason champs. It was them in Atlanta. I think Atlanta's in a much better spot right now than the Orlando Magic are. And sure, again, I am talking about, the Sixers potentially winning in the East this season because it is relevant. It's relevant because of how bad the Eastern Conference is as a whole. I think Philly wins this basketball game, plus 110. Orlando's not that great of a defensive team. They are legitimately, they are the definition of average, 15th out of 30 in defensive rating right now in the NBA. They are an average defensive basketball team. That's what brought them to the dance, and that's no longer what they are. I know what Philadelphia can do. They can have big scoring nights, and is Orlando really equipped and ready to win this high-scoring battle with the Magic? The answer to that question is with the Sixers. The answer to that question is absolutely not, and especially if they continue to get bench production out of Jared McCain. And obviously, they're going to continue to need bench production out of him. No Edgecombe tonight. That's okay. We're expecting to get Maxey, obviously, Paul George, potentially Embiid. I like the Sixers quite a bit. They seem like they should be better than a 9-7 team. Again, they've traded wins and losses, and if the trend shows anything, this does expect to be a win for Philadelphia. They have traded wins and losses since they started 4-0. That's absurd. Well, I think they had a 2-loss streak in there as well. But they have essentially traded wins and losses since November 4th. That's ridiculous. And I think it continues tonight. Give me Philadelphia to beat Orlando in the NBA Cup, picking up their first NBA Cup victory. Ooh. Philadelphia wins the basketball game at plus 110. On now to our fourth best bet of the video. We obviously go now to the Battle of Los Angeles. LA Lakers, LA Clippers. We'll get to the spread pick at the end of the video. First, though, our player prop. You think, maybe we'll go back to LeBron. Look at Luka, Austin Reeves. No. Give me Jackson Hayes. Yep. Might be the first time anybody has said those words. I am taking Jackson Hayes tonight over 12.5 points and rebounds. Why, you may ask? No DeAndre Ayton tonight. No Ayton, and I know, again, JJ Redick is not too fond of Jackson Hayes, but this is not the playoffs. This is the regular season, and with what Ivica Zubac has been doing for the Clippers, JJ is kind of forced to play Jackson Hayes tonight. Well, again, how long is DeAndre Ayton out for? I don't know. I don't think it's going to be for too long. I think, a couple games or two. The Lakers, again, we'll get into the final outcome, but obviously they're coming off of back-to-back games where they won against the Utah Jazz. The other night they played them on Sunday, and it was a really weird game, just a game of runs, which, that's just the NBA in 2025. But regardless, Lakers almost choke it at the end. Lauri Markkanen gets a chance, and Keontae George both get chances to either tie or win the basketball game. Ultimately, the Lakers survive. A really weird spot, though, for Los Angeles. They'd gone 5 days without playing a game. It was such a weird scheduling, schedule. I won't call it an error because obviously they did it for a reason, but it's just a weird scheduling turnout that the NBA put the Lakers with or on. Luka, after the game, did the post-game interview and said, I don't know, we all felt tired out here just because we hadn't played in 5 nights and now we're playing at elevation. Lakers should be fine now, though. Again, they're back into the swing of things. They get a home game here against Los Angeles, against the Clippers, obviously, and they hold off until Friday, until their next game, where they will be hosting the Dallas Mavericks. I am taking Jackson Hayes here. Hayes is going to have to play extended minutes. I understand. In the clutch minutes, it will be Kleber, I think. I believe it will be. We saw at the end of the game, it was Kleber playing those final sequences for the Lakers, but they will start Hayes. Hayes will get about 23-ish minutes. He should be able to find a way to get 13 points and rebounds. Hayes, again, in a little bit of an extended role, played 18 minutes, scored 5 points and 4 boards. Who's the alley-oop guy tonight for Luka? It's Jackson Hayes, and legitimately, that's potentially maybe where all of Jackson Hayes' points are going to come from. In terms of boards, I know Jax is not the biggest rebound guy, and you're going to see players like Rui, like Braun, how AR and Luka are going to steal rebounds from him as well, but you're 7 feet tall, you're a center, grab some rebounds. And the thing is, again, what JJ Redick cannot do tonight is just put Rui or LeBron on Zubac. It's not going to work. For as much as the Clippers use Zubac, and for as much, sure, again, the Lakers might play better against Zoo with the pick and roll action. Obviously, the high pick and roll with James Harden at the top of the key. Ultimately, Zubac rolls, Harden passed it inside. We're going to have LeBron James on that. We're going to put Rui Hachimura on that. You got to have a big body, and is Hayes the best big body to have? Not entirely, but ultimately, it's what they're going to have to do. We'll see. And the Lakers also just signed Drew Timme to a contract. Is that a two-way, or is he legitimately just on the roster now? It is a two-way deal, okay, for Drew Timme. Lakers just waived Christian Koloko for Timme, so gone are the days of the backup center core of Christian Koloko and Trey Jemison III. What a time to be alive. But I think Jax is going to have to start tonight. There's no way you can throw Maxi Kleber Rui slash Rui slash LeBron on Ivica Zubac, and especially, again, what Zubac has done for the Clippers. Last game for Los Angeles and Zubac, he scored 33 points tonight, 18 rebounds. I'm not telling you Jax is going to win that matchup. He probably won't, and you're going to see a lot of spots where I think the Lakers are going to have to double Ivica Zubac, and I'll get to that in a second, how I think this game is going to play out in terms of a roster and lineup perspective, and it's a pretty easy adjustment I believe the Lakers are going to make. Regardless, I don't care. You still need a center-type body, a 7-foot body to play on Zubac, and that should require Jackson Hayes playing around 23-ish minutes tonight. Lakers are gonna get away with rotations where if Zubac is not on the court, or even with Zubac on the court, where they will play small, where they will probably lean on Maxi Kleber essentially playing the 5. I know, again, not a traditional 5, but the Lakers are gonna run lineups out there with Kleber acting as, the center spot. And obviously, if Zubac is in the game, he's going to have to deal with that. Brook Lopez, not a traditional center, so the Lakers can get away with playing small against Brook Lopez because he's just hitting his deep pocket three-pointer, obviously, which is fine. I think the Lakers are going to play Hayes. They're going to have to play Hayes. And I think with that being said, Hayes is the oop guy for Luka. Potential, Jackson Hayes gets fouled, and the rebounds should come as well. So, again, this is probably the only night we'll ever look at Jackson Hayes, because with DeAndre Ayton playing every single night and starting for the Lakers, there's really not that much of a need for Jax. I'm telling you, in the playoffs, he's probably going to get like 5 minutes a night like he did last season. But I think Jackson Hayes over 12.5 points and rebounds should hit. Give me Jax here at home for the Lakers against the Clippers. Now on to our final best bet. Obviously, we're picking a winner / a spread cover. And obviously, I'm going with the Los Angeles Lakers. The Clippers are not in the same league as Los Angeles. Now, or the Lakers. They're both Los Angeles. Somehow, the Clippers and Lakers have the same NBA Cup record, and it's 2-0. The Clippers have 4 wins all year long, 5 wins now, excuse me, and 2 of them are in the NBA Cup. One against the Dallas Mavericks on the road, the other against the New Orleans Pelicans at home. Both of which were very tight games. They beat New Orleans by 2, they beat Dallas by 6 on the road. Okay. Los Angeles is coming off a loss. They did play on Sunday. It was the second out of a back-to-back for them. They had played the Hornets on Saturday, and then they went straight to Cleveland after playing and winning in Charlotte. What you can expect out of the Los Angeles Clippers is James Harden backpack carry ball. That's what they do. They rely on James Harden, and it's really, again, it is a high pick and roll the entire game. Now, Kawhi Leonard is back. He did get injured early in their last game, but he is fine. He went back to the locker room quickly, briefly, if I'm not mistaken, in the Cavs game. He is playing, though. He came back in the game and he played 26 minutes. Expect Kawhi to play in that same amount of range of minutes, 26 to 30 minutes tonight. I don't expect Kawhi to be that big of a factor. But that point I was making earlier about how the Lakers are going to adjust enough to play defensively, or how to play the Clippers defensively, is with Chris Dunn. Leave Chris Dunn wide open. It's what the Lakers and JJ Redick do quite a bit. They force the worst shooter on their, on the opposing team to straight up beat them. And that's where I think they're going to contain Ivica Zubac. Because obviously we know Jackson Hayes is not some crazy interior presence and a guy that, you don't want to go down low at Jackson Hayes. It's just not how he is, obviously. So basically you take whoever the hell is going to be guarding Chris Dunn and you throw him on the double matchup as soon as they feed the ball inside. Regardless of if that's AR or if that's Luka, that's where they're going to look at to try to take away Zubac. And Chris Dunn, not the best three-point shooter, is obviously out there for his defense, is not going to beat you out there. He's not going to. At least offensively, he's not. He's a pain in the ass to deal with on the other side of the basketball, but he's not the best straight scorer. Bogdan Bogdanovic, and obviously Dunn's been thrusted into a starting role with the season-ending injury to Bradley Beal. Now, Bogdan Bogdanovic is questionable tonight with the hip injury. I'll tell you this, it's a Lakers game, it's an NBA Cup game, but especially it's a Lakers game, and players randomly find themselves back in the lineup against the Lakers. It's just what happens. It's a theme. So expect Bogdanovic to play. That's okay. The Lakers should dominate the Clippers. Again, let's not forget what the Clippers have been all year long. These games do not have the same mystique. They don't have the same aura that they had about them in 2020 and in 2021, the rivalry games, the Battle of LA, because ultimately, guys, the Clippers failed. They failed the Kawhi Leonard era. They basically, gave the Oklahoma City Thunder a dynasty. In all fairness, again, they were not going to get Kawhi Leonard if they did not land Paul George, but they gave the Thunder their entire future, plus the best player in the NBA. And now, yet, here in 2025 and on to 2026, they are still dealing with the repercussions of that trade, with the Thunder having their pick this season. I mean, there's this incentive for the Clippers to win. There is no future. Obviously, we've detailed it quite a bit. There's not a single player in this rotation that is younger than the age of 28, which is a problem. And they're having to play Chris Paul every single night now, who somehow got squeezed out of the rotation. Well, because he's 40. But now he's back in the rotation, announced his retirement, and now it's retirement tour for CP3, and now he's playing rotational minutes again. Okay, CP3 can still play make a little bit. He's not going to score. Again, you're talking about leaving a guy open. That's who you're going to leave open, and he's not that great of a defensive threat. Who the hell is Chris Paul going to be on defensively in this game? If he gets stuck in Luka minutes, they're going to switch on to Luka's going to switch on. We're going to screen and switch Luka onto Chris Paul, and what's going to happen there? I mean, we've talked about it. It's an unction in Los Angeles for the Clippers, and it's a problem. The Lakers should be able to take away, again, Zubac with the doubles. James Harden is my only concern here. We know Harden's going to probably put up in a game like this. I can expect probably 40 points out of James Harden, who, is not the player, obviously, that he once was in Houston, but is still an elite player and still an all-star caliber player in 2025 for this basketball team in his upper 30s, so credit to him. But nothing else in this lineup concerns me. John Collins, I'm not scared of him. Kawhi Leonard, second night back. Not going to see big minutes, not too concerned. Zoo, again, the double should take that away, and nothing off the bench concerns me at all with Chris Paul, Kobe Sanders, who sometimes doesn't even get minutes, Batum, Brook Lopez. I'm not concerned. Lakers finally got their legs back, I think, got their legs back in their last game by beating Utah after that long layoff for no particular reason. The Lakers are a 12-4 team this year, I do need to say that. They've only lost 4 games this year, and they are still yet to lose without LeBron. They're yet to lose with LeBron James. In all fairness, they've only played the Jazz, but I like the Lakers quite a bit in this spot. Lakers minus 6.5. They've only lost 2 games all year at home. Warriors, Blazers. I think they'll win this one at home tonight against the Clippers and cover the 5.5 points. Folks, thank you all for watching our NBA Best Bets here on November 25th. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. Folks, thank you all for watching, and Mamba forever.